And we're live.
And you're live.
Okay, so I got a new co-host for the night. That's Brett.
Yay!
Just in case anyone didn't know. If you want to tell your tattooing story, you can. I'm not going to talk about my end of tattooing on camera.
Well, it's just he got his tattoo right, and went over to my friend's house actually. He's got a shop in Syracuse, but he was at his house and he has stuff set up there. So we went over. My wife took my boy, and they were going through, and he's gotten kind of a mini bus set up now where he can go around and do tattoos. And my brother-in-law purchased like a handicap transport type thing, and he was going to convert it, but then he got a kid, and then decided maybe not. So and so anyway, they got to talking about just how you could convert that other van into a place, and you could go anywhere you wanted to in the country. You could do tattoos. My son likes to do artwork, and I think for his proclivities, I think it would be a good career for him. But I don't know. We'll see. But I was really appreciative that they actually talked to him and spent time, and it was being cool.
I've apprenticed 11 award-winning artists, and that's kind of why I'm doing this channel, is to help people learn.
Yeah.
Tattooing, it's not really a great mystery. There's really three aspects to it. There's medical, technical, and artistic.
Yeah.
So artistic is the least. We have company, so here we go. The artistic is the least standard. So it's the most customizable or fit to per person as you can get.
Yeah.
But the medical updates, well, it hasn't updated in a long time because they haven't had a lot of major breakthroughs in a long time. But usually it updates every about 15 years or so, unless there's a major change somewhere in the industry. The technical, like, they've got different machines than what I learned now. That when I learned, there was just coil machines. Now there's coil, there's pneumatic, there's I can't think of the name of it, but that's the ones I'm using. It's like the remote control car motors where they just rotate. So the engine rotates instead of having an electromagnet made out of coils. And the pneumatic is air driven. So I mean, that's all interesting. I heard actually that there's air needles now in some places where you don't have needles, they're just pushing the ink in with air. The weirdest thing I've ever heard, so I didn't do any much research on that. Alright. So, apprenticeships have always been kind of, I don't know, you kind of start with the shit end of the deal. But, like, I've always taught my apprentices, they've always had to start learning by setting up my station the way that I set up my station.
Right.
Because when they go on their own, they can customize it. They can, work a method that they prefer. but they have a basis to work from. So I usually have them set up my machines. I usually have them, like every tattoo, they're part of the entire process, setting it up. I don't let them tattoo until they can make a stencil and put it on. And making a stencil is kind of hard if you do it by hand. Like they've got machines for that now, but when we learned by hand. So you're tracing out the stencil, but you're on a stencil paper, so you're tracing the pattern on stencil paper, so you can't see actually what you get. You don't know if you got all the lines until you check. So it's kind of a way to learn how to line without being able to see the results until you wipe, without actually doing it. So I've always kind of moved from that forward. I like the idea that they get involved in every step of the process before they actually are using a lot of that on their own. And they've got this stuff called new skin, which is fake skin that you strap on your arm to tattoo or practice tattooing in, but it's not. I don't care. I've seen it, and I don't care what anybody says about it. It's not skin. Skin reacts differently. Like I've tattooed 5 people in a row, and all 5 people will have different skin types. Not only different skin types, they will take the ink differently, or reject the ink, or bleed out, or not bleed out, or be jumpy, or quiver, or have uncontrolled spasms, or be still in a rock. Everybody's different. Some people's skin can just stretch and stretch. Some people's skin it doesn't feel like it stretches at all. All of that changes how the tattoo takes and how it ends up. And the healing process, like you can only do so much, and at the end, it's how they take care of it, how it ends up. Alright, so my colors are titanium white, cadmium yellow dark, cadmium orange, cadmium red, which is a switched over from the pearl red, cobalt blue. I do have cerulean blue, which is what I did her eyes in. If I want to go back over the eyes for another coat. Burnt sienna, so I don't have to mix any burnt sienna, and burnt umber. The only color that I don't have there yet, which I'll do right now, is bone black. I tried, but I couldn't find any ivory black. They were either all sold out of it or they don't make it for this brand. The bone black is pretty good. The other black, no, it was Mars black I was looking for. The other black was I can't think of it right now. Carbon black. And I don't know how that relates to the other ones, so I need to do it. I grabbed the other colors that I knew about. Alright, let's put my glasses on. Feel free to read the chat or start, or tell stories or whatever. Let's see. I'm gonna mix up brown, orange. I didn't want to keep spraying the other ones, so I just tossed them, let them dry. As always, this is golden open acrylic. Should be an actual different color a little bit. Yeah. Put a tad bit of black in this to gray it out a little bit. I think I might have to have a little bit of pale red. Just because that's what I used to start off guessing. So. I already got it backwards. I'm painting with the blood breasts I pulled out for blending. Have anything interesting happen this week?
No.
No. Nobody has anything interesting happening, huh?
My boys have been working. That's basically, I'm their chauffeur. The oldest one is he's got his learner's permit, but I still have to be there when he drives. So he is one of the slowest drivers I've ever seen.
Figure that has anything to do with Dad being riding along?
I'm not that slow. My goodness.
No, I mean, like, does it? You think maybe it makes him nervous having you ride along?
Well, what's funny is when he first started, he was like, "I don't want Dad, I want Mom." All right, whatever, I don't care. Then I had to do less. That's fine by me. But after about 2 times riding with his mom, I was like, I'll just take Dad. So,
Mom wasn't working out.
well, there are times when, like, one night he needs hours, so we went up to Wanata, Indiana, about 2 hours away. one way. So he got about 4 hours of driving, right? And on the way back, you could kind of tell he was tired. He kept drifting to the right, and he'd hit the rumble strip and, you know, straighten up and whatever. But you could kind of tell he just was getting tired. Well, that's fine until we got close to Wabash, and we started to drift to the right as we were getting close to a bridge, and there was no rumble strip, and he wasn't correcting himself, and I'm about ready to die.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I'm understandably a little upset. You know, it's like, what are you yelling? I'm like, because you're about to kill me. Like, if you don't threaten my life, I will be a lot calmer. So, it's like, once you fix it, I'm not mad.
This isn't yelling.
Yeah. This is screaming in terror. There's a difference.
This is excitedly talking and telling you.
Yeah. Last week, he about hit a deer, which I saw it and he didn't, and I was like, stop, 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 right? And then his mom was in the back seat. He starts, you know, yelling. He still hasn't seen the deer that we both know is there. So he ends up aiming towards the deer. I'm just like, what are you trying to do? Luckily the deer escaped, but we never got, you know, never hit him. But he got all upset. I'm like, I think he'd rather us shriek, you know, stop, than be like, la 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 la. Oh, hey, you hit something. So.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be la da da. You hit something and go bang, and then you shit his pants. It's hard to be done rapidly.
Want to see my dough? Let me see if I can get it up here.
I was in a car that got hit one time. It was a old 65 Dodge Dart station wagon. And the person that hit us was drunk. And he saw us and hit us, and I had just pulled someone out of the back seat, like the way back.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're never gonna ride there again. I'm not gonna let you, you know. And then just no sooner than that, this guy hit us so hard that the tailgate pinched the back seat.
Wow.
It would have cut this kid in half if we hadn't pulled it out. It lifted the car up and spun us around 360, landing on a like a triangular median.
Yeah.
Hard enough to break the gas tank.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's kind of part of the reason that I got yellow paint seems to be everywhere. I don't know why. I've had this table for years. Until I started shining, I've never gotten any paint on it at all. Now it's starting to look like a Jackson Pollock. Yeah, well, that was an accident I'll never forget. No, there was a lot of corruption going on there. That guy opened his door and beer cans and shit fell out of the door.
Wow.
Yeah, and he didn't get arrested. The cops gave us a ticket. We didn't even do anything. Turned out that somebody that knew the kid that was in the back
Yeah.
We knew that that guy was going to hit us long before he ever left the house. So that's one of the reasons that I left Michigan and didn't really look back. Got some crazy, dangerous shit going on there. I was born in New Jersey and I never saw corruption until I moved to Michigan. I'm sure there was, so don't get me wrong, but I never saw it. I was never personally witness to it. The hardest part is leaving this shit alone until it dries enough to go over it. You painted portraits in oil, right?
What?
You painted portraits in oil, right?
Nope, I did them in watercolor.
A watercolor?
Yep.
Okay.
I've done them in colored pencil. I've done them in watercolor. I've done them in regular pencil. Yeah. Never did paints in oils. Or never did portraits in oils.
I really love using oils. I just hate having to ventilate and the cleanup stuff.
Yeah.
I like the cleanup for this, but the waiting time for something to dry so that you can go back over it, because I just want to keep working it, you know? I mean, like, it's not there when I want it yet.
I never liked it when the professor started saying stuff like, you need to make sure that you have gloves when you're using these, and I'm like, this is the wrong form for me. Because
the oil?
Yeah, because like the paint thinner and stuff that you use. And,
yep. That's really the dangerous shit. You can breathe around oils if you're not using any thinner or mineral spirits or any of that shit. All of that shit's poisonous.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't ingest oils because that's poisonous, but they're almost harmless without the thinners and the mediums.
Well, I tend to be very hands-on. Like, I'll use the brush and then put my finger in it. I mean they're just...
Yeah, with this I do, like, all the time, wipe stuff off that's just not right, or
Right.
blend stuff just lightly, tap stuff, and I get it, definitely. I've got the reference picture taped up over to the side, but my brush, the cup full of brushes that I've been using, blocking half the reference photos, so I have to keep moving it. I have a whole lot to do on Jeffrey as far as him goes. The light source, because there's obviously a light source going to be coming in soon. You'd think that it would be a better medium for me to use because, I can jump around, not be in one place. But it works the opposite because I know I can't. I just want to work it, get it done. If I was drawing, I'd be drawing here, drawing there, all over the place. really like the difference. I didn't think there was going to be a huge difference between Pale Red and just regular cadmium, but there is a pretty huge difference. How's the writing coming along?
What is your problem?
What's that?
My dog's barking for no reason.
Huh.
I'm the only one home, and now the dog's barking. That never makes you feel worried.
Alright, so it's probably not for no reason.
You want to go potty? That's the reason. I gotta let her out.
Alright.
I'll be right back.
Right. Sit down.
Yes, we're all slaves to our dogs.
Well, those of us who have dogs.
Well, we have a dog, a cat, a bearded dragon, a dwarf hamster, and I've stopped at that. What?
Cat.
No.
Well, we have a cat. The princess mine. I wanted a dog. She doesn't like dogs. I've had two dogs. Both of them had to be put down for one reason or another. Freaking hate it. Kind of feel like there's really not much worse than having to put an animal you've grown to love down.
Yeah. We adopted an old dog from a shelter, and she started getting tumors everywhere, and she had to be put down. And I thought that was probably going to be the last dog I ever had. But then the boys wanted one, so we got one, and she's been fantastic ever since.
We have a neighbor that had her dog she had to put down, and then she went and adopted a dog, and that dog's got all kinds of problems. Like, somebody neutered him at like 4 months. So his balls never dropped. He's got a puppy-sized penis, you know. and he's got all kinds of allergies and all. It's just crazy. My wife was out putting um, baking soda on her lawn because she's growing mushrooms that he's allergic to, and he keeps eating them. So she's trying to keep him from dying by eating poison.
Right.
Yeah, I'm quite the opposite. I love dogs. But the wife don't. You know how that is.
Well, my wife acts like she doesn't like the dog, but she does.
Well, no, I think it's more the fact that you gotta, you just gotta cope, My wife
Right.
did the same thing, like, uh, we had a dog in North Carolina, and like all the kids wanted a dog, and I wanted a dog, and for my birthday, like she tends to get the dogs. Like I'll tell her what I want, but she gets whatever she gets and brings her own. And we were in North Carolina, and they were giving away English Mastiff pups. Friggin' gorgeous dogs. They were just giving away on the side of the road, and I'm like, it's my birthday, I want a dog, It's a free dog. All we're gonna have to pay for is the, shots and then food and stuff, the regular upkeep. For less the cost of an English Mastiff. And she's like, no, and she drives on. And then later on in the day, she comes up with this dog, and that dog was a Shepherd Pit Bull mix, so it was a brindle.
Yeah.
And it was a brindle that had the shepherd's nose with a little birthmark, kind of a black little mark. It's a beautiful dog. I really love that dog, but then it actually got bitten by thousands of black widow spiders.
Oh.
And it was like less than 6 months old. It was still, just a puppy, really. And it pulled on its leash until it pulled my daughter away from the bench where it was underneath. And then later we looked into that bench, and the whole thing was black widows. It was just webs and webs of black widows. But a black widow bite, if a black widow bites a dog on the lower half, it will start falling, like the back half, back legs will start, losing strength. And if they bite them on the front half, usually they'll get really, really thirsty and pant and stuff. All the way home, it was falling over on the side, and its butt was drooping. We didn't know any of this at the time. And got to my kitchen floor, and it went towards the water to drink, and it couldn't make it, and its tongue walled out, and it was dry. It was just miserable to watch my puppy die.
Yeah.
And we figured out what it was that killed it. That was even worse, Of all the things.
up.
No phone. That finger blame that I was just talking about. That book link I shared?
Oh, the fantasy one?
Yeah.
I need to get that.
That was he's has been to Wolf's course. That's where I met her. I don't think she put as much stock in his course. I don't want to make too much comment because I don't want to detract from her. She's good. She's a good kid. How old am I, right? She's a good kid. She's 30. So Joe's doing some artwork. Not my co-host Joe, but Joe in the chat.
What was that?
Said Joe in the chat. He's doing some artwork. Said he was doing some drawing. Now it almost looks like he's shinier. You gotta knock it back a little bit. It looks pretty shiny, doesn't it? Wow. I'm having a hard time getting that value knocked back. Maybe I gotta do the blue.
The dog will probably not going to open it.
What's that?
Oh, my boy came in. He asked if I wanted the door closed. I said, sure, but the dog will probably open it up. I had warned them I was on camera and whatnot, so they know if they do anything too stupid, it'll be immortalized forever on YouTube.
Yes, and we'll re-show it. We'll clip it and keep playing it.
I got to edit a video of our first video. I've got it, but it needs to be cut down. There's a lot of just thinking going on screen. It's like, okay. So I got to cut stuff, but there was this mustard ice cream that we found.
What?
Yeah, mustard ice cream. So he did a taste test of mustard ice cream.
That sounds pretty gross.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Okay, so it's not just me.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, it's nasty. Let's see, put it up. Put it up. Side-eye.
Okay, that sucks. Right, looks a little paler, right? Except for his cheeks. I don't want to have him be the exact same as her. I want to have a little bit of difference in them. Definitely wanted her warmer than he is. You're quiet as me. Nothing going on over there?
Not really. Oh. Trying to get some writing done for tomorrow. I think everything I wrote this week was garbage. So
I found some interesting angles that I want to explore.
What?
I said I found some interesting angles that I wanted to explore.
Oh yeah?
Well, I guess they're small things, but I do a little bit of exploring, just not quite to where I want to be yet. It's like I think the night before last I got one sentence written.
See, last night I wrote about 4 pages last night. It's boring.
Oh, those are the parts we got to cut out, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, this is all trash.
Well, but I've noticed it's kind of interesting that what you or Dave or whatever think are boring, some of us, some things you think are boring, I don't think are boring. Some things that you don't think are boring or Dave finds exciting because he's a world builder, you know. I don't find it as exciting, you know.
Oh, all right.
So it's kind of weird, like which things that I think even you know, like even I like what I like versus what you like of mine.
Yeah.
Are not necessarily the same thing. I noticed like when I was tattooing that was kind of a big thing because a lot of the awards that I won for stuff I didn't think was going to win. And the stuff that I thought was going to win didn't even place or something sometimes, you know?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the last thing that flash piece I just had published, I don't think it was anything special, but I figured somebody would like it. I don't know. It's just kind of that Bone Brothers story that you didn't like. That got the.
Well, you know, it's not that I didn't like it. It's just I didn't feel like it had an ending, or there were questions. It wasn't that I didn't like it. It was just that there were questions that I don't know. I didn't see answered or explored. That's all. I mostly like your stuff because it's fun.
Well, that took forever. I mean, although I haven't been paid for it yet, I won't say what publication that is because I don't know. Online, they say that they've had these health problems and whatnot, and they're changing formats. And okay, cool. Just I think I said
what we
about
call
a year ago.
YouTube.
What?
I said, what we call excuses.
Yeah, well,
If we'd have given them that, like if they wanted to buy our story and we were, we're in the middle of changing this and in the middle of changing that, you know what I mean?
yeah. It's been a year since I submitted, I think, and they accepted it last October. And then I haven't heard anything from them, other than what they post on their webpage.
Oh, is that the one that it's like going out of business almost or something, right?
Yeah. It's the part of the writing I get tired of waiting, you know, like some publishers I get they're busy. It's just, oh,
Sometimes it feels like it's never going to happen, right?
yeah,
That's a hard thing for writing, period, that a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of your work is not going to get published no matter how good it is. Like, I can think it's the best, or you can think it's the best, and no one will publish it for 1,000 different reasons unrelated to how good the writing is or how good the story is.
right. Or that wonderful catch-22. We don't want to publish you because you don't have a big enough online following, but there's no reason for you to have an online following because you're not published.
Right. It's more than a catch-22. This is probably going to get me in hot water, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's bullshit. That's not my job. My job is not to fucking go out and sell somebody else's magazine. It's not my job to push that shit. My job is to tell a really good story the best that I can so that people like when they read it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if I have to do all the promotion stuff, then why should I go through a publisher?
That's exactly like the first time I heard that kind of thing about the whole following,
right,
was Kevin J. Anderson, and he posted this post, and I like Kevin. Don't get me wrong. I will not say anything bad about Kevin because I do like him, but he said something to the effect of, I got this piece submitted to me, and I really loved it. It was an awesome piece, and I was going to publish it, and then I saw that they didn't have a following. They had no internet presence. So, and I'm thinking, well, you're a publisher. That's your job, is to sell the book.
Yeah.
My job is not to sell the book. My job is to put the stuff in the book that you're going to sell. That's the partnership, right? That's what you're agreeing to when you publish it through a publisher, is that a publisher will do the work of selling your stuff.
Right. The idea is that, especially for magazines, that look, we always have good stuff in here. Not we already have people with fan. I mean, I don't know. I get their point. They're trying to squeeze everything out of the author they can, and I get why, and that's not a bad thing. Like, the more of a following you have, I get the easier it is for them to sell their book. But
yeah, but
also if that's the criteria.
Like you said earlier, if I got enough of a following, what do I need them?
Exactly.
These days, you don't need them at all. Like, less and less you need any kind of traditional publisher. The only reason that you need a traditional publisher is to hawk your goods. Like, what you pay for, or what you give your humongous cut for, is distribution, which is 50% of the profit. You're paying for a cover, you're paying for copy editing and all that, but you're also paying for them to distribute it and go out into brick and mortars, or because we can go to Amazon by ourselves. It's these people that actually tour around the brick and mortars and that have a connection to the brick and mortars that sell work that you can't.
Right.
So if I'm the one that's hawking my goods, I don't need you. What? I need you for 5% of the sales? Like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's just one of
you're
those
right.
things. I think you're absolutely right on that, and I think that's what's making publishing suck more and more. You know, I've even seen, I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've even seen more and more people bad-mouthing the science fiction writers of America.
Okay.
People that were touting it not that long ago, or do I even need it? You know what I mean? or I quit it. You know, these are people that worked hard to get into it, and then all of a sudden they're like, I quit it. I didn't want to, you know, didn't want to deal with the politics or anymore, or they're only interested in certain voices, and you know, it's just weird. And it's not the normal politically correct crap that annoys us. It's like affecting, like they're starting to wake up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going from attacking everyone that doesn't agree with that politic or whatever to going, wow, they're including me in this. Okay. You didn't expect them to include you? It's been oddly noticeable for me. I'm in a few writing groups that you're not, because they're like just conventions I've been to or whatever, that like the superstars. There's so many in the superstars. And I went to the inaugural one, and that was like 11 or 12 years ago or something like that when we started.
Okay.
And a lot of these people, some of them have been going 4 years, and some of them are pretty new to it. So when they're asking about that and answering that, these are the same people that were touting it at that convention. Even Orson Scott Card was saying he quit it, if you remember, like, because it's all politics, and he's a left wing, so you know, and they attacked him, and that was over what he felt about marriage.
Right.
He wasn't saying gay couples couldn't get together. He was saying the word marriage is a religious word, so why attack the religious word? I'm gonna look that drive for a minute. I guess I'm gonna do a pass on her here. I'm trying to do all the real difficult stuff first, that way it's just fun to slap it on at the end. Do the background where it's kind of it's on a lake, and you can see like the other side, but it's kind of small in the background.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get all this done. I pulled up a whole bunch of references for helmets, but I didn't print any of them out like an idiot. And I think, you know, Joe's working Saturdays, and I really can't stand doing this by myself. It feels like it's kind of arrogant and stupid. When I'm talking to somebody who either doesn't know and needs to be explained, like Joe doesn't know a lot of principles, so if I explain it to him, then somebody else gets it without me sounding condescending.
Right.
But if no one's around, I'm just talking to hear my own voice, and I don't like that. That's the most difficult part of this for me, is because I'm really not fond of the sound of my own voice. And that's one reason I could never be a teacher, because I couldn't stand up in front of a classroom and talk and expect them to listen to me. Because I wouldn't want to listen to me.
That's one of those things you have to, I don't know, it's weird. I don't like public speaking if I don't think I'm supposed to be there, which is the weird, like, I'm paid to be a teacher, so I'm okay. Like, I'm perfectly fine walking into a class. But
right?
If I was part of a crowd and someone called on me to speak when I am not the person they came to see, I get real shy.
Yeah, it's weird for me. Like, You'll notice, like, on all the, I want to say Zoom calls. I don't know. Probably that's what they are, right?
Yeah.
Like when we did the Wolf Moon one, and I really don't. I'd rather type than talk. Another thing about typing is that if I'm typing, I can back up and fix it.
Yeah.
And if I'm talking, I'm kind of screwed at that point.
Well, I noticed, like, I haven't been out walking because it's been cold and rainy for like a week here.
Yeah, it's been that way here too.
So,
but I've been walking inside.
right at the beginning of summer, or my summer, I started doing the walks and trying dictation. And it definitely changes some of the structures of my sentences, like just the way they get made, and it also, I don't know, like, I was getting some good word counts. I was getting like 1,000 words on a walk. I got up to about 1,000 words on a walk, which I thought, well, that ain't bad.
Yeah, Kevin does that too. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's having my own voice. Like when I play something back like that, I'm just like, I don't believe it.
Well, I just used my phone, and you can do talk to text with Google Docs.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that half that chapter I showed you, I had done in about 2 walks, and yeah, it definitely has more typos and stuff than the normal typos, since I'm not typing.
Right.
And there are other things that, like, I would have to come home, and you can't, all of your fantasy type names.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't recognize any of them, so you have to pick one that you're not actually going to use, like a name you're not going to use that it will recognize, so you can do a quick find and replace.
You can't add it to your library.
I could.
Like, if you say the name, like, I would guess that you would have to do it while you're not on a walk. But if you say the name and it spells it out and you correct it, and then you say the name again, would it correct it?
I don't know. I just don't worry about it. I figured, like, that character's named Lorne. I just said his name was Richard. And
well, Rory. That's a real name, and that's Rory, so it's just one letter difference.
It's also, when I grew up,
I'm just trying to pick ideas.
Well, that's the funny part is, when I was little, I could not say my R's at all. Not in my life. And so, Roaring is pretty darn hard for me to, and I can do it. But Rory, I really got to work on, like, I have to think about it. Otherwise, it'd be woey. And I don't want that, obviously. But just saying Richard works. Saying, just, having, the other thing is you can't put in quote marks. So I suppose I could say quote, but then I'd have to go through and change it. So
I have, like, normally, not to cut you off, but just because you said that, when we read, a lot of times I will put on the let it read to me, and then read along as it reads to me. And it's surprising how many names it reads right.
Well, your names are normally spelled phonetically, so it knows the symbol. But when it's trying to guess what you're probably trying to say, it's not as good. And maybe there are other, like I bought Martin, I don't know if it's Shoemaker or Schumacher.
Yep. Shoemaker.
Both with Kevin J. Anderson about dictation.
Yep. I have it. Martin's good shit.
They have transcribers doing stuff. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, I'm not paying for that.
Well, I think Kevin does more than Martin. Yeah, I haven't read that book in a while, but Martin's good shit. He's funny. He's also a Superstars graduate.
Yeah.
He writes kind of comedy, I guess, for the most part, which is probably good because he's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, I actually talked to him about doing a cover for him, but he really didn't know what he wanted, which makes it hard to do a cover. Like, he had ideas, but it wasn't like, he didn't say, I want this, and that's it. You do your version of this. That's all. It was quite a bit. I want to say it was like a Godzilla fight.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like, it was a while ago that we talked about it. And he talked to me about it, but he talked to a couple of different people that were alumni of Superstars. Surprising the amount of people, like we were talking about off camera, right?
Right.
The amount of people that are artistically inclined or artists that are writers too.
Yeah.
I was surprised to find out how many people that were in Superstars that were also illustrators, you know, or like one of them, one of the illustrators of the features, was it one? I think one both writers of the feature and illustrators of the feature. Billy Jordan speaks. I don't know if she's a superstar now. I have to think about that. I should have thought about that before I opened my gap. But yeah. Martin, good kid, and he's got a great sense of humor. Have you read the whole book through?
Pardon me?
Have you read that book on being a dictator all the way through?
Oh yeah. You know, I think it was like it's not big.
What's that?
It's tiny. I read it in one night.
Oh, I don't know. I read it on Kindle. So.
Oh, it is tiny. Like I like when I read stuff on Kindle, but I prefer books, so I just bought the book. And like I said, it was like that big. It's like 90 pages.
After being in a coma, my left arm, which is where I usually hold my book, is with my left arm.
Yeah.
It's weaker, and the diabetes and the coma make my left shoulder want to go out of socket. Apparently, it's not uncommon for diabetics to have their shoulders want to actually pull out of socket, and it takes like a couple of years to correct. Yeah, I gotta learn this shit the hard way. There's no easy for me. It's like either yay or nay. But yeah, I appreciate the Kindle much more now because it's a little easier to handle, and I carry a whole library in it.
Right.
And I can get it immediately. Like I ordered it from Amazon. It's there within a minute. Actually, less than a minute, but. And I can buy gifts for other people and send them to them. I kind of like doing that, actually. Trying to read this on the camera now, because the hair should be a little bit darker than the reflection. But yeah, I guess I put a little bit more white in that, huh? Yeah, I'm actually, I say halfway through Goldfinger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's I think I defended him hugely when they were trying to politically correctize his books. But I'm reading through them, and as each one gets a little bit worse.
Wow.
Like originally, it was like when he mentioned women, he had a pretty good respect of the women. Even though the last line of Casino Royale was what it was, look at how he talks about women in that book. It's all like very intelligent and not any kind of really derogative towards women. That changes a little bit over him, but like as of Dr. No, that's when you start seeing the kind of racial. It's not like he says racial crap, but his characters do, right?
Right.
And they don't need to. And Bond's working in Dr. No. Bond's working with a guy that he worked with in Diamonds Are Forever. And that dude's a black dude. And when you read Diamonds Are Forever, he has a little bit of an island accent. But when you read Dr. No, it's almost hard to decipher what he's saying because he's got the island accent and then he's phonetically spelling something that I don't think is actually right. and he's trying to kind of throw some Ebonic isms into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, wow. But yeah, now in Goldfinger, I think in Dr. No, I realized that he don't like Japanese people. He doesn't have very much respect for Asians. And in Dr. No, he kind of makes a couple of racist comments while he's describing odd jobs. It's funny. Well, it's funnier knowing that he's not intentionally, well, maybe he is. It looks like he gets worse over time. I don't know if he just got sick of writing James Bond, which that's quite possible and reasonable, you know.
Right.
But it's kind of pretty bad. I have to laugh because I really defended him, like, oh, that's just a person of his time and all that. And then I start looking at it and I'm like, he wasn't a person of his time like that in the first couple of books. What about the 6th and 7th book? Mm-hmm. So that's another thing too. He's talking about odd jobs and well, odd job. Odd job is not fat, like he appears in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's big, and Bond mistakes him for being fat until he always wears gloves, and then takes his gloves off, and he's got calloused fingers to the point where they're calloused beyond the fingernails, which goes like into the realm of fantasy. And the same thing with the sides of his hands. So the sides of his hands, the ends of his fingertips up here, and Goldfinger's explaining what a badass he is. He's one of only 3 black belts in karate in the entire world.
Okay.
Well, I told you. And you know, I've heard that Ian Fleming did a lot of that. Tries to make himself sound more knowledgeable than he is.
Yeah.
But definitely, when you're reading Goldfinger with Odd Job, yeah, you can definitely see those differences really stand out. Like I said, one of only 3 black belts in the world. Like, really? Even then it wasn't true. That was like 1959.
Yeah, no way.
And, well, what he did get right was, you know, karate was made mostly the way it is when it was in Okinawa. But Odd Job's Korean.
Yeah, so you should be doing Taekwondo.
Well, yeah. Taekwondo is definitely Korean, but there was a lot of mix over in the Asian countries because Japan did a lot of conquering.
Right.
Like, for one thing, Japan stole, culturally appropriated martial arts from China, from Bodhidharma and the Shaolin, and they made it their way for karate. But they did that often. They'd conquer someone and basically force them into being whatever. But like the whole kanji language, that's not Chinese or Japanese. That's a newspaper language. It was a language that was created based on Chinese, which Japanese is based on too, so that anyone that they conquered down along the Asian coast could read and write the same language, so they can make a post, or they can make, you know, post declarations or whatever, and everybody, nobody can say, "Oh, I didn't know that." So, yeah, it's some weird stuff. I don't know, like, I think so far Goldfinger is pretty much like he is in the movie when he's introduced as a character. He's introduced cheating somebody at cards on a rooftop with that chick walking him through
Right.
high-powered goggles or whatever, and him having the earpiece. But so far, it doesn't look like he's doing anything for Fort Knox. It's leading me to believe that he's supposed to be independent funding for SMERSH.
Yeah.
Because the Russians can never afford to do what they're supposed to do, or pay their operatives or whatever. ever get enough done in 2 hours. Now its face has calmed down now that it's dried. It's darkened up some. I wanted it to even out a little bit, but I wanted to lighten up his nose because, for one thing, in the photo, his nose doesn't have the same angle that I had. Like, there's a little bit of an angle that doesn't exist, so I had to go back in and clean that up. But then it was so light, and I was worried about it. I know that it darkens when it dries, but it still freaks me out. So I'm literally dimming it down and knocking it back with some grays.
Looking good.
Thanks. That's something, because I worry about that. Even like if I look over at the screen, it looks different on my screen probably than it does to you.
Well, I had, for a while, until I felt like I was slowing things down, I had the YouTube up on one screen and then the StreamYard stuff on this one. And the colors on this one, on the StreamYard, everything was just clearer. I mean, just, it's a lot crisper than it was on YouTube.
Huh.
So I don't know if it's because they are different screens, but I don't think it would be that big. I mean, it's the same computer, but
yeah, same screen.
Well, no, I've got my laptop over here and I've got my screen over here. So the laptop screen had the YouTube on it, and then my small TV screen that I use for more screenage had this StreamYard thing. So that's where my camera, where I've set this camera up.
I guess that's not what I meant, but I can't even expand on what I meant because it's gone. Yeah, I wasn't. When I said the same screen, that's not really what I was meaning.
Right.
And like I said, I can't even explain that. For me, I only use this one screen because when I have YouTube open.
What?
When I have YouTube open,
Yeah.
It's a delay. There's a delay of like for 10 seconds, and it really messes with my brain.
Yeah, I was noticing that too. I was like, oh, there's a delay. That's fun.
Yeah, I should have warned you, but I didn't know you were going to open the YouTube. Yeah, that kind of messed with my head, so. And I didn't realize it until I got on StreamYard why that was happening, because it tells you there's a little Q&A thing. Ethan's going to have to make his This doesn't look like it fits there to me. But that's the part that I lived anyway, so. I don't want to make him look like Groucho Marx, and that hat's going to slip right off. That's kind of how it was feeling. So. I also think maybe if it was me, I'd have it pulled down lower over my brow. That was something I should have started with, right? I've got a picture of him wearing the horned helmet. I look better to you?
Looks good to me.
Well, because it looked kind of askew. I just want to make sure it looks as wide here as it is here. Like, this is the widest part, I think. So. I saw Rhonda post pictures of you guys watching a sporting event or something like that on their anniversary.
Yeah, there's a thing called Marion Milers. It's a very, very short track competition for kids under 18. So Thaddeus wanted to run a mile. I've never run a mile in my life.
Me either. Well, don't feel bad. If I had to run a mile, to save my life, I'd be dead.
Yeah. Although now for years, I just thought I was lazy. Or I was asthmatic, because I am asthmatic. But then when I found out, oh wait, this hole in my heart and all that kind of stuff kind of means I shouldn't be running like that. Or at least it's going to be hard if I do. I don't have to feel as bad. But Thaddeus, he wants to, I don't know, he's not the best runner in the world, but he just wants to do it, wants to be better at swimming, and so he's using running, like track stuff, to help with swimming. And more power to him. Very proud of him for running like that.
Yeah, he should be. Especially if he's not the type to, That's even better, stepping out of his comfort zone and making it, I always told my kids, like, when I wanted to teach them to tattoo just so that they have a way of making money and making a living. Like, just so that I knew that if worse comes to worse, they had something to fall back on. But I've always told them, like, you don't have to follow in my footsteps at all. Don't worry about disappointing me, because what I want to see is you do something that makes you happy. Like, that's even more important than how much you make or how respected it is or whatever. If you're happy, that's hard to find in this world. It's something that you can be happy with and get paid for.
Yeah.
You're automatically a winner, Like, if you're happy as a teacher, doesn't it matters you need to get paid to eat, but other than that, it doesn't matter how much, as long as you're making what you need, right?
Right. If
you can make what you need and you get happy and feel fulfilled, what beats that? You know.
Well, I told my boys because when I was in school, they did a lot more tracking, and I was never, it was never on the table to do any kind of vocational training, because that was just not something that was going to be shown to me when I went and did my schedules and whatnot. It was all academic stuff, which was fine, but I'm relatively useless outside of teaching. And I told the boys, like, you don't want to be like that, because, like, if I need more, like, if I go and do more work at school, I don't get paid more. Like, I have to, like, pick up like special contracts and things, I guess I can do, but, you kind of have to set those up, and, it's only when those are available. But their uncle, who never went to college, did vocational stuff, and when he needs more work, he just works on another car, sells it. I mean,
well, yeah, that's another thing too. When you mention that they're not pushing that kind of job, they're not pushing that kind of, like, here there's a lot of stuff with carpentry, but like everybody's either a fisherman, a carpenter, or they work for somebody like Walmart or a corporation or something like that. Mechanics, like when I first moved up here, people that did underwater welding that could work on motors and boats and stuff,
yeah,
they got the money. They could charge whatever the hell they wanted to. So, like, when you're talking about that, like, people look down on it, but mechanics, that's a respectable fucking profession.
Well, I don't really look down on any of that stuff. I tell my students, I was like, I think it's crazy you can go through 13 years of school and come out with a high school diploma and have absolutely no skills.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
crazy. I mean, there was a kid I had last year who he did nothing, like literally nothing. Like,
Do you put extra time into kids like that? Like, if they want to know something that the school doesn't have as a regular curriculum or whatever?
yeah. Well, with this kid who didn't want to do anything, he's like, no, I can go work at the factory with my father. I'm like, oh, as long as the factory's there, like, but it's kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. And like, I don't need my class to be the most important class because it's basic English. As long as you can read, you're okay. But man, I mean, some of these kids just all in one basket. I just diversify, spread out, pick up some skills. Like, while it's free to you, pick up these skills. But, they're teenagers. They already know everything. So, what can you do?
Yeah, you have to be an adult to regret what you didn't do.
Yeah.
As kids, we regret what we can't get, or when we're almost adults, we regret things that we did. When we're adults, we regret the things that we didn't do. Like, how stupid was that?
We won't let our the boys both have jobs as lifeguards, but I've told them over and over again, like, their lifeguarding job is superficial. Like, and it's not that it's just about education, but I'm like, I worked like 36 hours a week through high school, and my wife worked 36 hours a week, or 39, like, right up until it got close to being full time. So as much as the law would allow, we would work. And so I missed out on a lot of stuff that you generally only get to do in high school. And I told the boys, like, no, like, you have 4 years for high school. I want you to get as much out of high school as you can. So I want you to be able to go the party. I want you to be able to go. If you want to be a part of the school play, you should have time to do that. Like, it's not your job. We don't need your money. You're not paying a mortgage. Just, like, it's okay to have a job. I get that you want to have money. I don't want to pay for everything, especially some of the dumb stuff they want. But
well, that's kids, right?
Well, I know. My son bought this thing. It's a little cage for dice, a dice pool. And he's so pleased with himself. And I'm just like, all right, you do you. It's your money. I don't care, whatever. But just one of those things where I just want to make sure they know where their priorities are. It should not for them be working. Like, we have friends who their oldest son has to work all the time, and they get the parents take the money because they need it. And I get it. It sucks. But my boys aren't in that situation, so I don't want them acting like they are. I sent a friend a meme. And he sent back, "I hate what you are."
I hate what you are.
Yeah.
I sent that gun meme. I sent it to you, right?
What?
The gun meme, the Glock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think.
The rainbow one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I sent that to Joe, and he's like, and he goes, pew pew.
No, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, a friend of mine from North Carolina that I think former military and a former SWAT cop, I think.
Yeah.
He posted that meme. He's an interesting character. Dude looks like a bear. Looks like he's built to tear some shit up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he all talking about literary stuff. He still talks like a bear, but he's got his interests all over the place, which I think is really cool. Even more cool because you don't expect it, you know? He looks like the type that lives in the gym and threw small people around for fun. But he's not. But now, if somebody was abusive, they probably would. And I met him. I was working in a tattoo shop in North Carolina. And he came in to get some work from the guy that owned it. And I was writing something there. I don't remember what it was. Actually, it might have been my Marin Cobb book, the first draft, which nobody liked the end of, so I just threw it away.
Ugh.
But he got interested because I was writing a novel. Next thing I know, he friend requested me, and I was like, I didn't expect that. So that's the kind of subversion of expectations that's cool.
I think too many people think subversion of expectation crap on all over whatever people actually want.
Right. Well, or what they like.
Yeah.
See, it's like the whole Star Wars thing. I don't give a shit if you have a separate. Like all planets should have more than just what Chewbacca is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Kashyyyk should be more than just Chewbacca for Wookiee. Chewbacca is probably different than most of the Wookiees. So I don't mind them delving into different characters with different interests and beliefs and orientations or whatever, but leave the ones that I have known for this whole time alone. Because I go to see the movies for Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, not for Rey, not for whatever. Yeah, you can pass that stuff down, but don't destroy my characters in the process. Because that just tells me that you have nothing that you're not going to destroy or willing to destroy. That was my big problem with the whole Star Wars thing, is that they turned characters that weren't one way into one way, and then, like, you know how Luke is and how Luke was. Now they're trying to, the last I heard, my son's into this shit still, he was saying that now they're trying to say that the Luke that threw the lightsaber away and killed all those kids wasn't really Luke. It was a clone of Luke that they made from his hand.
I mean, okay, except for here's the problem with that. If they can clone Luke and make that clone force sensitive, then what was up with Palpatine trying to figure out a way to clone himself and make himself force sensitive? So
it doesn't have to make sense. What was it? The Return of the Jedi? Revenge of the Jedi? No, what the hell was it?
Return of the Jedi?
No, it was, I guess, the last movie. I guess Revenge of the Sith, maybe.
Revenge of the Sith is the last of the prequels.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's one of the not the prequels. The sequels with Rey. The one where Princess Leia dies.
Episode 9.
That whole thing was just absolute nonsense. The whole thing.
Well,
like, the whole brilliant plan from this brilliant general was to race across space, allowing the enemy to follow them and slowly pick them apart until they got to a planet with only one way in and out, so that they could be cornered by them, because then people would come to help. Really? That's the best you can do? You know? Now, how about bombers in space? So you're going to release a whole bunch of bombs from a bomb bay in zero gravity, and they're going to just drop towards target. Not to mention that all these experienced pilots are so dumb, they're going to fly so close to each other that if one has a critical accident, then they all will. It just doesn't speak well for them, you know?
Yeah, I felt like the sequels were rushed, not well thought out.
I think it had potential, and they fucked it all up.
Yeah, they did, but I always go back to James Bond, my theory of James Bond when it comes to franchises. There are some god-awful James Bond films that I enjoy, but I can recognize they're kind of dumb. And I'm okay with that. Like, I can enjoy them, you know, because you can come out with another one and it'll be interesting. Like I'll still go see it. It'll be enjoyable, and some of them are just going to be better than others. So the sequels are not very good, but they could definitely still come out with something that was good. Now, if they kept turning out trash, I would be like, all right, this is decent. And some people think after 3 films.
I don't think they're going to come out with anything that's good like that anymore.
Well, I think they've kind of screwed the pooch on a lot of it.
Yeah, the new one, like I said, the new one is proposed, is going to show that Luke was a clone, but I think it's too late for that.
Yeah, I would just stick what you have and come up with other things. Like, if you want to use Daisy still, fine, use Daisy, but make a compelling story.
Look what they did with John Boyega. That is, I don't know, perfect example of them fucking everything up for their politics. So they needed to get a black lead character in. And what did they do? They made him the comic relief. He ended up being the comic relief. He was a stormtrooper. He could have been a stormtrooper that became something more. Became a hero. But they're not interested in making heroes. They're interested in destroying heroes. The way that they ended it, they were all ending it with Daisy Ridley's character being Palpatine's whatever descendant, and her, healing the bad guy. Well, they're ambiguous now. They're going to live in a gray area, right? They're going to do away with the Jedi because they have no need of the Jedi. Well, the Jedi are the good guys. That's what they do, right?
Right.
So, if you don't need the good guys, what are you doing? What kind of story is it, and what kind of story could it possibly be? Can you see the texture in his shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to turn that over next time and do it the opposite way so that I can get scales like that. Just a little bit lighter in spots. I've had this planned for a while now. Yeah. Drove a car today, which is a big deal because it's the first time I've driven since I was in a coma. So that was a good thing. Eli, who had some rough patches of late, had a pretty good day, which is another good thing. No, this is one thing I hate about working with acrylics is that if they're not completely dry and you hit them, it will lift the paint. Yeah, I keep lifting the friggin' paint. Why everything not what? There you go. Have you painted with acrylics?
Nope, never got into them.
Definitely have some cool aspects. You can thin them down just like watercolor. And build them up like that, but you can also build them up thicker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to leave it at that for the night. I didn't intend to do a 2-hour spin. Of course, that's 2 hours painting. It was like 20 minutes to get started. So. Now I've got the hair blocked in. I think the faces are pretty close to done. There's a little bit of highlight I can play around with on her, but I think he's pretty close to done. I kind of like the rough look. Probably might even be. I might even like it more than he does, so I might have to go out and smooth it. But I think it looks much truer right now. I'm gonna pull just because I said. Just because I said I'd be done. I had to find something else. His eyebrows almost look like they're bladed. He doesn't have very much for eyebrows.
Did you see there was going to be a Q&A with Tim Powers, I think? From Writers in the Future?
Oh, I did not.
I'm pretty sure there is.
That's something I'll be interested in. You know the course that you had to take to watch the Orson Scott Card one?
Yeah.
The Tim Powers segments were the fucking best for me. He just, like everybody else, was kind of stiff, but when he got to talking, like, you could tell he's passionate about it. And I actually went out and bought one of his books. I hadn't read any of his books, but I went and bought one after that because I just like the way that he explains stuff in related concepts. So I went and bought one to see if he wrote as well as he spoke. He speaks very well, and I wouldn't want to miss that. You know, writing? I can't be a fair judge of that because what I got was an audiobook. So I don't know how it would read for me versus... Actually, I think it was Bronson Pinto reading it. Dalkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the way he reads. Like when he did Larry Correa stuff, he did the Grim Noir books.
Yeah.
I was impressed because there was 2 German characters in the first book, and he gave them 2 different regional German accents and remembered which ones they were. That was very impressive. He acted out the whole thing, not just read it. And I guess I don't know if there's more people that like that or less people that like that, but I'm a big fan of listening to an audiobook that sounds like a radio play more than listening to somebody read me an audiobook. All right, so I'm going to end this broadcast, and then we can talk for a minute afterward. So thank you for co-hosting with me.
Yeah, no problem. Fun.
Thank everybody that showed up for showing up. Good night. God bless. We love you all.